Hello, Internet. This is Sophia, the Red Angel, doing my best on this channel to produce content that is worth your time to watch and listen to. Unfortunately, very recently, a completely rogue, off-the-rails U.S. Supreme Court has overturned the landmark 1973 decision Roe v. Wade. On this unfortunate occasion, I remembered that my mom, Hanna Shapira, has a story to tell that took place shortly before the 1973 decision. Rather than relay it to you myself, I figured I would interview her so that she can relay it. So here goes. So, I believe you have a story to tell about something that happened a little while before the Roe v. Wade decision. Would you like to share it with us?
Oh, yeah. It was in just before the Roe versus Wade decision. I was in college at the time, and one of my friends in college confided in me that over Christmas vacation, she was flown to London. And I said, why? And she said, well, her father was a very active person in the Republican Party, also was very much involved with the Catholic Knight of Columbus. I think he was maybe the head of the Knight of Columbus in his state. And they were very much adhering to no child born beyond without wedlock and whatever. Well, she was, just like all college girls, not so like most, I shouldn't say all, not very promiscuous. She was, I wouldn't say very promiscuous, but she had a boyfriend. And lo and behold, she found out that she was pregnant. So over in the beginning of Christmas vacation, she came and she went home, of course, and told her parents that she found out that she was pregnant. And the family said, well, we would like to meet the young man. Let me just tell you that this friend of mine was a white woman. Turns out that her boyfriend was a black guy. And this was not really a family that was ready for any integration, and they were quite upset when they saw that he was a black guy. And from that point on, they were not accepting of the fact that she was pregnant. So, abortions in the United States, legal abortions in the United States were not available yet. So they flew her to London. Not that they would have looked for legal abortions, because her father was one of those that fought enacting legal abortions for others, but he had the money, so he could send his daughter to London. The tragedy of the whole thing was not so much that she went to London, but when she came back, they cut her off by telling her that she had shamed them. And that's what I found so tragic about the whole thing. The irony, here is a rich man that enforces his opinion on people who cannot afford what he was able to afford. When his daughter got pregnant, and in this case it was not the unwanting the child, but unwanting a mixed child, they send their daughter for an abortion, which they prevent from other people who for different reasons need the abortion. And that reality shocked me.
You say he was active in the Republican Party.
I think he was, but I do know that he was very conservative Catholic who was very active with the Knight of Columbus and probably held a very prominent position in the Knight of Columbus.
I thought that was before anti-abortion was associated with the Republican Party.
No, I may be wrong. I said I'm pretty sure he was, but what I know he was that he was a member of the Knight of Columbus, and a prominent member as such.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of your thoughts about about abortion rights?
I am not a person that thinks abortion should be birth control. And I've actually had a lot of arguments about it with friends in college. I think that birth control should be available to people because not everyone can afford, not everyone is aware of it. I think the one thing that we owe is, if we want to raise healthy children, we need to be ready to bring them to the world. We should not be forced to bring them to the world. I have a hard time with those that force women to have babies but don't make sure that those babies, and in most of the cases, I won't say in all cases, most of the cases that require abortion are people who do not have the means or the maturity to raise a child. When a child is born, the child should get everything they need. An unborn baby, I don't even see that it's killing, although it hurts, because I went through that experience myself. But when a child is born, the child should not be forced on a family when it can destroy not only the future of the child, but the future of everyone around the child. The families struggle with burdens, and in most cases it is a heartache going through an abortion. It's not something anyone wants to have just because I don't care, it's okay to have an abortion. I have not met a single woman who went through an abortion and was doing it, okay, well, I'm pregnant again, I'll get rid of it and have an abortion. All the cases I met, it was a heart-aching decision.
You mentioned you had an experience with abortion. Do you feel comfortable discussing it?
Yes, I do. A few years after, when my two grew up a little, and my husband and I felt that we would be comfortable adding another child to the family, we decided to have another one, and I became pregnant. Shortly after I became pregnant, I had to notify the medical that I was pregnant so they could do a review in the areas where I worked. I have to mention I worked in a national laboratory, and at the time I did some work that required me to be in a research reactor. Everywhere I went, I was assured it was safe. I was thrilled when I found out that I was pregnant. Absolutely thrilled, only to be called by the medical doctor to show me some drawings that they would not let me take copies of, that left me with the understanding that I was exposed to a lot of radiation. Unfortunately, the doctor would not let me keep a copy of it, so I could not even go and say something of that sort to my own doctor. But the doctor I'm talking about before was a medical director of the laboratory who could have cared less about my life and my fetus, more about the liability of the laboratory where I worked. So I had no papers, nothing in my hand to show to my own doctor, and I knew that I had the gut feeling that something was very, very wrong, and with a big heartache, I opted to have an abortion on the last day possible to obtain it legally.
How late was that?
That was, I think it was 3 months, just a day, or maybe 12 weeks. I don't remember exactly what it was at the time. And I had the abortion. It was very emotionally extremely painful. Few months later, we decided to try again. And also, And when I came back to my doctor, my own doctor, and told him I was trying again, I then told him the story of what happened. And he was not an expert in what happens with radiation. That was actually the duty of the doctor at the lab where I worked. He should have given me some advice how to prevent something like this from happening. My own doctor didn't know. We started the treatment and so on. Pregnancy started, there was a heartbeat, and then all of a sudden the heartbeat was gone. I have told also my doctor what had happened, so as a result, at this time, he decided to find out why I had a miscarriage. And he sent the tissues to a local hospital which had a genetic testing and they could see what caused it. No, I made a mistake. This was when for the second time I miscarried after the abortion. And I had 2 miscarriages, one after, I didn't have miscarriage, the fetus died and had to be evacuated. But when it happened for the second time, my own doctor started being suspicious that something has happened. And he sent the sample to a local university, which, lo and behold, came back to me with the answer that it looks like I was exposed to either chemotherapy or radiation therapy. I was not exposed to any of those. This was actually the first time I felt good about the abortion I thought, because apparently I was exposed to a lot of radiation and the decision I made was right. But anyone who has any questions about the feeling of a woman who goes for an abortion has not gone through the experience that those women go, because I can tell firsthand it is excruciatingly painful. I was very, very painful about it.
So basically that's also, would the abortion have been legal today?
If abortion were not legal today...
With that abortion that you had 12 weeks in Tennessee, that was in Tennessee, right?
Let me say that even though there was a clinic that supplied abortion, it was not easy. And I can't think what would have happened if it were illegal. It just boggles my mind to think what I would have done then. The one thing I am sure, I did not choose that abortion because I was promiscuous. I didn't think about planning a family or whatever. I planned for another child. And I think, and that's a punch maybe some people don't like to hear, in my case, I'd much rather have an abortion than have someone come and kill a living person that is on the street who doesn't have support, and they just go poof, poof and kill because they didn't get the right education or whatever. I don't feel that I killed any child. I feel that I have ended something before it was viable and prevented that thing that was not yet viable bringing into life of only pain and sickness and so on. And what we don't know, and that's again from my experience, many kids who are brought up into a life that is very miserable without any support or anything, many of them end up being very poor, being unable to achieve anything in life, and no wonder that more of them become desperate, maybe not even criminal, just desperate, who take a gun and go and shoot others. So I see the two decisions, Roe versus Wade and the gun control, two very contradictory decisions. In one way, they shall tell me that I cannot end something that is not even viable yet. On the other hand, they tell me that everyone is allowed to carry a gun that kills people. Where is the logic in that? We can kill people that had a life, a doctor, a grandfather, a child that goes to school, but we are not allowed to end something that is not yet viable.
Well, they would say you're allowed to have a gun, you're not allowed to kill people with it.
Sure. They would also say, maybe next thing, that we are allowed to drive a car without getting any car education, and we can ignore all of the safety procedures and all of the stop signs and start just killing everyone on the street.
So do you have any other stories about how Roe versus Wade may have impacted your life personally?
No, I don't. But what I now find out that, and it really bothers me, is it's no longer just an abortion issue. Those zealots are also talking about banning anything that they don't like. We are all supposedly to be just fitting a certain standard, and it's no different than Hitler was. Second World War. If you were retarded, you go to the slaughterhouse. If you have any handicap, you go to the slaughterhouse. They don't say you go to the slaughterhouse, they say no protection, which allows other people to take you to the slaughterhouse. Of course, when they have their own child that happens to have a problem, they have all the resources to do everything that they can. But what's good for me doesn't have to be good for you. And that example I saw very clearly in the case that shocked me. It shocked me that parents could behave to their daughter like this and forced her to bring a child that she could not force. I don't understand. They brought a child to the world, raised her, and because she did one thing they didn't like, they banished her. But then they're telling others that they have to bring a child that they cannot support. What's the logic in it? It's just a way to control other people.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Anyway, that's it for this interview with my mom. What video would you like me to do next? Let me know in the comments area below. Or you can join my Discord and let me know there. You can find an invite link to my Discord on my main links page. You can in turn find a link to my main links page in the video description area of this video. You can also find there a link to my Ko-Fi page, which is where you can go to get updates on my channel that I am at present unable to give you on YouTube due to my current channel size. My Ko-Fi page is also where you can go if you wish to support my channel financially, because if you like this channel now, you should see what I will be able to do with it when its funds are no longer limited to whatever I can siphon away from my personal living expenses. Also, do not forget to help my channel grow by liking, sharing, subscribing, and ringing the bell. And until next time, see ya!